Tuesday, Minister Sakaria was in Etobicoke talking about our focus on getting drivers moving faster by bringing sanity back to bike lane decisions. It isn't enough to keep an eye on future bike lanes. Thank you. We need to and will remove and replace existing bike lanes on primary roads that are bringing traffic in our cities to an absolute standstill.
Picture this. It's a sunny morning in Toronto. You're on your bike gliding through a dedicated bike lane, moving swiftly past the congested traffic of cars stuck in the same old gridlock. But now imagine if those bike lanes, those lifelines for safer, greener travel, were suddenly gone. You'd be forced back onto the main roads, dodging cars and trucks, risking your safety every single day. Now, believe it or not, this could be a reality. You see, Premier Doug Ford of Ontario is suggesting that bike lanes, especially those that replace car lanes, may soon be banned. Doug Ford claims that bike lanes are making traffic worse, clogging up roads and inconveniencing drivers. It's a debate that caught fire not only in Toronto but across cities worldwide. But are bike lanes really to blame? Or could they be part of the greater solution? Today we're diving deep into the role of bike lanes. Are they essential for the future of transportation? What do they mean for cities? And why are they facing such intense political opposition in Ontario right now? Stay with us as we explore both sides of the debate, backed by data, real-world examples, and the growing tension between cyclists and drivers. But first, let's talk about why bike lanes matter in the first place. You see, in cities around the world, dedicated cycling lanes have been hailed as a major win for urban transportation. They're not just a convenience for cyclists, they're a key part of transforming how we get around in cities. And the data backs this up. Study shows that cities with robust cycling infrastructure see significant drop in traffic congestion, air pollution, and even car-related accidents. Take cities like Copenhagen and Amsterdam, two of the world's leaders in bike-friendly infrastructure. In these cities, investments in bike lanes has not only led to more people choosing to bike, but also resulted in reduced traffic congestion. In some areas, congestion decreased by nearly 50%, simply because fewer people felt the need to drive. That means cleaner air, quieter streets, and fewer greenhouse gas emissions. But it's not just about traffic. Bike lanes are also making cities healthier. Studies have shown that cycling can significantly reduce the risk of heart disease, obesity, and diabetes, giving people a much-needed boost in physical activity. Think of it as a gym on wheels, no membership required. Even a short daily ride to work can improve cardiovascular health and reduce stress levels. And for cities like Toronto, which is struggling with growing pollution and a car-dependent culture, bike lanes could be a real game changer. By encouraging more people to bike, cities can lower their carbon footprints, leading to cleaner, healthier environments for everyone. Studies have shown that bike lanes can reduce emissions by up to 30% simply by shifting people from cars to bike. If cities are serious about combating climate change, bike lanes need to be part of the equation. One of the biggest arguments in favor of bike lanes is actually safety though. Cycling alongside cars is risky, and without proper lanes, cyclists are forced to navigate busy streets where drivers may not always be aware of them. And unfortunately, these situations can often lead to accidents. In fact, a study from Philadelphia found that streets with bike lanes saw a 48% reduction in bike accidents. That's nearly half the accidents that would have happened otherwise. It's simple. When cyclists have their own space, separate from cars, everyone is safer. And the busy roads are the main arteries to get to places, so it's only normal cyclists want to go there, as with cars. But the benefits don't stop there. When bike lanes are part of a city's infrastructure, they encourage more people to bike. People who might not have felt safe doing so otherwise. And the more cyclists there are, the safer it gets. Studies show that when cycling numbers increase, accident rates actually decrease. But when bike lanes are absent, it's a completely different story. In Lisbon, Portugal, it was found that low-income neighborhoods, which often have the least cycling infrastructure, experience higher rates of accidents. Lack of access to safe bike lanes leave vulnerable people at greater risk. And this is why bike lanes are critical for everyone's safety, not just for the seasoned cyclists, but for people of all ages and backgrounds. But not everyone agrees that bike lanes are the answer. You see, Premier Doug Ford of Ontario has come out against them, specifically when they replace car lanes. Ford argues that bike lanes take away precious space from drivers and make the traffic problem even worse. According to Ford, Toronto's traffic woes are being exacerbated by these lanes, which take away space from cars. He suggests that instead of helping, bike lanes could be making traffic worse by removing key routes for drivers. But is this really the case? You see, the argument may sound reasonable on the surface, but let's look at the data. In cities like Paris and Copenhagen, where bike lanes were built in place of car lanes, traffic didn't get worse. In fact, fewer people were driving because they now had a better, faster option: cycling. This led to less congestion, not more. So what does the data tell us? Well, for one, it shows that bike lanes can actually improve traffic flow. Cities that invest in cycling infrastructure see more people opting to ride bikes, which in turn reduce the numbers of cars on the roads. In Paris, bike usage increased by over 50% in just 5 years, while traffic congestion dropped by nearly 30% in the same amount of time. In addition to reducing congestion, bike lanes are also helping cut down harmful emissions. A study found that cities with comprehensive bike networks reduce their CO2 emissions by over 10%, which makes a real impact on air quality. Even in North America, cities like Portland, Oregon, and New York have seen huge benefits from their bike lane investment. Both cities reported a reduction in traffic-related injuries with fewer collisions between cyclists and vehicles. Now, let's compare this to a city like Toronto, where bike lanes are constantly in contention. Without proper infrastructure, cyclists are left to fend for themselves on the roads, often squeezed between parked cars and moving traffic. The results? More accidents, more congestion, and an overall more stressful commute for everyone involved. So what does the future hold for bike lanes? As cities grow and adapt, it's clear that bike lanes are going to play a major role in urban transportation. By giving people more options to travel safely and sustainably, cities can ease their reliance on cars and create a more livable, eco-friendly environment. But before we continue with the video, I do need to ask you for a small favor. If you could just scroll down, press that like button, and subscribe, that would mean the absolute world for me. I'm trying to reach 2,000 subscribers before Christmas, and to make that even possible, I need your help. I'm not trying to bother for too long, so I'll leave you with the video. I hope you enjoy, remember to subscribe, and let's get right back into it. In cities like Copenhagen, bike lanes now make up over 400 kilometers of the city's road network, and more than half of the population commutes by bike daily. Imagine what could happen if Toronto or other major cities follow that example. The bottom line is this: bike lanes are about more than just bikes. They're about making cities safer, cleaner, and more efficient. They're about giving people options beyond cars, and they're about creating a more sustainable future for everyone. So where do you stand? Should we continue expanding bike lanes to build a more sustainable future, or should we stick with a car-centric planning like Doug Ford suggests? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss more videos on urban planning and the future of our cities. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching.